There's a force in this world that most people never notice, yet it shapes every conversation, every relationship, every opportunity. It is quiet. It is subtle. It is the recognition of another human being, not for what they can do for you, not for the value they add to your life, but for the fact that they exist, that they matter, that they are seen. Abraham Lincoln understood this better than most. In the corridors of power, in the smoke-filled rooms of divided Congresses, he had a way of listening that made people feel heard, of addressing concerns that seemed insignificant yet were monumental to those who voiced them. This was not weakness. It was not a tactic of flattery. It was the mastery of influence and leadership distilled into its purest form, making people feel important. It is often said that people forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people never forget how you made them feel. That is the invisible currency of influence. Thomas Edison, who endured 1,000 failures in pursuit of invention, never ignored the ideas of his team. Even in a lab filled with smoke and sparks and shattered experiments, he made the individuals around him feel that their contributions mattered. And in that recognition, he unlocked something greater than electricity or motion. He unlocked loyalty, commitment, and creativity that no command could ever inspire. Every interaction, every glance, every word can carry the power to elevate or diminish, to inspire or demoralize. To make someone feel important is not an act of ego. It is an act of leadership, a demonstration of influence, a subtle magic that changes the trajectory of relationships and achievements alike.
Consider the average office, the typical conversation between two people who are hurried, distracted, and distracted again. How often do we really listen? How often do we pause long enough to give weight to the person standing across from us? Carnegie taught that appreciation is the key to influence. Not fake praise, not hollow words, but genuine, specific acknowledgment of effort, character, insight, and value. The moment a person senses that they are genuinely recognized, the world shifts. Doors open, resistance fades, walls of ego crumble. It is a quiet power, the kind that builds trust, loyalty, and the capacity for cooperation without confrontation.
Leadership is not defined by the loudest voice in the room. It is defined by the ability to make each individual feel seen, to acknowledge their presence with respect and empathy, and to channel that recognition toward a shared vision. Franklin Roosevelt, addressing a fearful nation during the Great Depression, did not just outline policies and programs. He spoke to the fears, the hopes, and the sense of worth within every listener. He made them feel important, and in doing so, he transformed despair into action, hesitation into hope, and individuals into a unified force. Influence is not coercion, it is acknowledgment. It is the affirmation that people matter and that their contributions count. Even in personal relationships, this principle holds extraordinary power. How often do misunderstandings escalate not because of disagreement, but because one party feels unseen, unheard, unvalued? Making someone feel important does not require grand gestures. It requires presence. It requires attention. It requires the willingness to suspend your own agenda even for a moment to recognize the human experience of the other. Empathy is a form of influence, and influence rooted in empathy is unstoppable. When fear, pride, or uncertainty is replaced with acknowledgment and respect, every conversation becomes fertile ground for connection. Every conflict becomes a bridge to understanding, and every challenge becomes a chance for mutual growth. And yet, this power is deceptively simple. It does not demand brilliance or charisma. It does not require wealth, title, or fame. It requires discipline. The discipline to pause before speaking, to listen before judging, to observe before responding. It demands presence, a mindfulness that allows you to see beyond your own concerns and into the soul of another human being. Every great leader, every master communicator, every person who has truly influenced others understands this. The secret to transformation lies not in what you say, but in what you make others feel. When people feel important, they act differently, they engage differently, they respond differently. History is littered with examples of individuals whose words, inventions, or policies might have been forgotten if not for the human connection they fostered. Eleanor Roosevelt, guiding initiatives on human rights, understood that acknowledging the struggles, the courage, and the dignity of every person was not merely kindness, it was strategy. The moment you recognize the inherent value in someone, you plant a seed of trust, loyalty, and cooperation that grows far beyond the moment itself. Making people feel important is not manipulation, it is human intelligence. It is the ability to channel respect, attention, and acknowledgment into influence, and influence into transformation. And so, you arrive at the truth that Carnegie illuminated for a century. The most powerful people are not those who demand attention, who shout the loudest, or who wield fear as a tool. The most powerful people are those who understand the human heart, who see the spark of value in every individual, and who nurture that spark into confidence, courage, and connection. This is the quiet, unstoppable force that builds empires of trust, networks of loyalty, and legacies that outlive the individual. Making people feel important is not an act, it is a way of being, a disciplined, conscious, transformative way of engaging with the world.